Hey guys, my name is Jack Kaderko. I'm a student here at the University of Minnesota and I am studying food systems and sustainable agriculture. And I'm here today to teach you guys, well, hopefully teach you guys something about engineered vegetative roofing, or what is commonly known as green roofing. It's something that's very cool. It's been used for decades now, and it can really provide some benefits for our world, whether it's economical, to our health, or the environment. It's something that, we can do right now. So just a quick background. Green roofing is basically a system in which you use various layers, protective layers, filtering layers, root barrier layers, and then you'll have substrate and growing media towards the top, and then you have your plant life. This basically allows for you to create an ecosystem on top of buildings. And what it does, it acts as an insulator, but a natural green insulator that can really save you costs on your monthly bills. And it's important because the roof is where the greatest heat transfers take place. So that's where you get your greatest heat loss. And if this shows you anything, hot air rises. So by insulating with a natural green roof, you can contain 34% more air in the winter than would have either been lost through conventional roofing. The National Research Council in Canada found that an extensive green roof reduced the daily energy demand for air conditioning in the summer by over 75%, which means you will be paying far less than others using conventional roofs. Also, if we apply green roofing to stormwater management, we can greatly reduce the damage caused to stormwater runoff from heavy precipitation. Now, if you were here in Minnesota last June, I think you would remember how the Twin Cities received about 2 to 5 inches of precipitation within a 36-hour period. This created great, well, let's just say immense damages to bridges and roadways, neighborhoods. I know my neighborhood, parts of it were fully underwater and entire streets had to be reconstructed. Let alone that the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency had to advise people to avoid swimming in Twin City lakes, in some of them, because there was an increased risk of E. coli brought by untreated sewage water being flowed in. And this was because if they didn't release this water, it would have gone into house about 1,000 homes in Mound. So in total, the cost of damage were around $32 million. What's unique about green roofing is that they are able to retain about 70 to 90% of the precipitation that falls on them in the summer. And the water is either stored in the substrate and plant matter, where it's then returned to the atmosphere through transpiration and evaporation, or it is delayed significantly, so that basically results in decreased stress on sewer systems, and then we don't end up with the costly situations like the ones that played out last June. Green roofing industry can also supply an abundance of new jobs and opportunities. People would be needed to manufacture design materials, create installation services, maintain roofs, or even market foods if they convert their spaces into agricultural sites. And not to mention, by 2050, the global population will have increased to 9 billion people. The United Nations United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that today 805 million people, or 1 in 9, suffer from chronic undernourishment. So green roofing could be a solution to this, because there will have to be a way to create a more effective food system within dense urban areas. Green roofing can also have significant benefits on our health, whether it's personal, communal, or on a global scale. They can provide opportunity for living in cleaner cities, increasing communal well-being, and to improve physical and mental health, as well as just living healthier lives. Green roofs allow for, let's bring it here. Dr. Roger Walsh is a professor of psychiatry, philosophy, and anthropology, and he gave a great talk on the effects that nature and technology have on our mental health. Basically discussed things called technopathologies, which are illnesses that have been created from living in such an urban setting under artificial lighting, which is 10% of that what we'd get outdoors. And these things have led to disorders such as ADHD and even depression, because they disrupt behavioral rhythms, mood, and sometimes cognition. And there are now claims that many of us may be suffering from something called post-nature deficit disorder, which means we've literally had such a disconnect from nature that we're experiencing those impacts now. And we live in an age where online compulsive disorder and screen sucking and frazzing and techno brain burnout and even techno stress have become regular terminology to describe the negative impact that extensive technology use has had on our mental health. And what green roofing can do about this is really restore this human connection that we have with nature. And it's been shown that spent time in nature can produce some serious benefits, such as enhanced sense of well-being, reduced stress, reduction of some symptoms of hyperactivity and depression, and enhanced physical healing, because studies have shown that hospital patients in rooms with windows showing natural settings actually tend to have fewer complications and are even discharged earlier than others. And not alone the existential and spiritual benefits of nature, where it has long been recommended for a time of reflection and self-contemplation. One thing I would also like you guys to think about is something called the biophilia hypothesis. Biophilia hypothesis. And it is that it's a theory that we as humans are basically designed for, and we function best in a natural setting. And compared to living in such a global rush of increasing urbanization and technology, if we were to preserve natural settings and spend more time in them, we can greatly increase the benefits to our own mental health. And also, let alone, we can create community from this. We can get an increased sense of self-reliance, let alone the impacts we can have from better nutrition. So it's huge. And okay, this last few points, this is what I see as the most important thing we can gain from green roofing, and it's the positive impact it has on the environment. And so we just know, I think green is good. It allows for life on this earth, and we get our food from plants, which really helps store a balance within the ecosystems. And I'm guessing some of you are familiar with the recent decline of honeybee populations. But bees are very important because 1/3 of total global crop production is dependent on bee pollination. And it's because after World War II we changed our agricultural practices. We started building larger monocultures, we started using pesticides, and there's just increased loss of habitat. And since 1945 till now, it's estimated that 50% of total bee populations have been lost because of. So green roofing can be also a solution to this, because we can create environments, which we already have. In innovative ways, we can increase pollination-friendly foods and flowers, which bees are dependent on. We can stop the use of pesticides within an urban setting because there's no need to, especially on roofs, so we can greatly improve the stability of pollinator populations. And I got that information from one of my professors, who's an American entomologist. Her name is Marla Spivak, and she's well known for a TED Talk, Why Bees Are Declining. So I'm going to use some of this information in one of the research papers I have to write for her class. So I feel like I'm cheating in a way, but college, right? And it brings me to the next point about biodiversity and why it is very important to basically ecosystems on a smaller level to, if you make that larger, the planetary ecosystem. This is how the world works. This is how species work within our world. It's very complicated, but it's important to understand because by increasing biodiversity, whether it's plant life or invertebrate life or bird species, we can maintain higher levels of productivity, which means delivery of ecological goods such as food, materials, medicinal plants, and services like the hydrological cycle, getting clean water and air, the cycling of nutrients, and also just that it adds to the visual aesthetic of having a green roof, which can also have positive impact on community and psychological well-being. And the last important idea environmentally from green roofs is literally for our whole societies to become greener and be impacted by what we see on the rooftops. And if we're able to see birds flying and insects and plants, and we can smell them and we can feel them and we understand how they work, and there's literally a symbiotic relationship between humans and plants, we can see what is at risk of being lost. And sustainability is a huge thing within our lifetime. Climate change is going to be the biggest challenge that some of us that we will face in our lifetime. And it allows people to become environmentally conscious and realize that, you know what, we can learn from nature. We can use the principles and practices of nature and incorporate them into an urban setting. So instead of fighting nature, we are working together with it. And overall, we get the best of both worlds. So that is what I have. I hope you guys learned something, and thank you.